is a constitutional law attorney, former senior legal advisor and personal counsel to President Donald J. Trump. Jenna Ellis believes in the rule of law and the importance of integrity in our elections. And she's ready to tackle the big cultural and legal issues facing America. This is the Jenna Ellis Show. Here is your host, Jenna Ellis.
Hello, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Jenna Ellis Show. I'm Jenna Ellis, and the Israel-Gaza conflict continues to escalate and making headlines around the world as the United States still has a very terrible response with Joe Biden traveling to Israel and not bringing any of the hostages home. Governor DeSantis, of course, has provided DeSantis Airlines free of charge, unlike the federal government, and has rescued over 270 Americans, including over 90 children. So major props to him for actually doing the business of governing rather than our weak and inept president. But while the focus has been on so much on intelligence and foreign policy, what we haven't been talking about is artificial intelligence. Why does this matter? Well, my guest today has a really fascinating view on how artificial intelligence, or AI, is actually going to be, in his view, the solution to Israel's conflict. You're not going to want to miss this interview right after this. With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to your to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you. So much is still going on in the Middle East with the conflict between Israel, Hamas, and Hezbollah, and Middle East leaders are now withdrawing from meeting with President Biden as he travels to the region. According to the Associated Press, Biden has not even exited the plane yet, and his efforts to tampen down the tensions in the escalating war between Israel and Hamas faced a massive setback even before he departed for the Middle East yesterday, as Jordan called off the president's planned summit with Arab leaders after a deadly explosion at a Gaza hospital that killed hundreds. Biden will now travel only to Israel and will postpone his travel to Jordan, a White House official said as Biden departed yesterday. And Hamas had tried to claim that Israel fired the rockets at the hospital in Gaza after a missile intended for Israel misfired. According to the Times of Israel, the Israel Defense Forces on Tuesday night said that it was not behind a blast at a hospital in the Gaza Strip, which, according to Hamas health authorities, led to hundreds of deaths, approximately 300, and that a misfired rocket launched by Gaza terrorists led to the explosion at that hospital. So this is continuing to escalate. We are, of course, talking about all of the things associated with this. And another interesting facet of this is how technology may be the key to Israel defeating Hamas. AI will be at the forefront on keeping Israel safe and taking out the terrorists, according to my next guest, Carl Szabo, who is the Vice President and General Counsel for NetChoice and a professor of Internet Law at George Mason University
University's Scalia Law School. So good morning, Carl. Thanks so much for joining again. And how is AI going to be on the forefront of keeping Israel safe?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Jenna. Look, there's a lot to be really upset and frustrated with. It's been an excruciating week for all of us. There is some good news to come out of this. And you need to look at Israel itself. It's 9 million people. So it's about the size of New York City. And so it's a pretty small populace. But what they've done with technology, what they've done with innovation is what we as Jews often do is we take what we're given and we build on it. And that comes in the form of artificial intelligence. In fact, a lot of the greatest digital security systems that we use here in the United States today comes from innovations developed in Israel. So Israel definitely has the brain power and the knowledge. So what does that have to do with AI? What does that have to do with what's going on right now? For years, we've heard about what's called the Iron Dome. This is the Israeli defense system because these rocket attacks, these launches into Israel are not new. They didn't just happen in the past 2 weeks. They've been happening for the past 20 years. Israelis face these missile launches on a regular basis. The reason we don't often hear about it is because these rockets are stopped midair. Literally, the Israelis are able to use radar to identify a rocket launch from Gaza or the West Bank or elsewhere, and then using AI, perfectly calculate the trajectory of that weapon and then launch their own missile to intercept it and collide with it. I mean, think about this from a simple example of trying to throw a dart and hitting a dartboard 10 miles away, bullseye. That's the type of precision that we're talking about here. That's the type of calculations we're talking about here. And they are being done in nanoseconds because remember, the distance between Gaza and Israel is literally a fence. So that is where technology and AI is being used and has been used for several years, actually. Now, one of the other things is what you just mentioned. And some of this is the completely false information that is being perpetrated by Hamas or Islamic Jihad to try and control the narrative. Now, we saw many American newspapers rush to blame Israel over the past 24 hours for the attack on the hospital in Gaza. Turns out to be completely false. Well, leveraging AI, we can actually better identify fake images, fake videos, and deep fakes and stop them before they spread. And this is happening all the time online. So we do have websites like YouTube, like YouTube and X and Instagram that are leveraging AI algorithms to identify known false information, flagged content, dangerous content, and terrorist content, and making sure that it gets removed before it gets to us. The last thing that I'll note is on the cybersecurity front. So one of the other avenues of this war is not just hand-to-hand combat. It's not just military forces that we can see with our eyes, like tanks or weapons. It is a cyber warfare that is going on and that has been going on for at least several weeks now, where you have terrorists trying to take down the Israeli grid system, the power grid, the hospital systems, the communication systems across the country. And it is actually AI that is being used to block these cyber attacks. Because at the end of the day, the technology and defenses need to move as fast as our opponents, if not faster. And that's where AI is coming into play.
And I think, Carl, Szabo, this is a broader expansion of the use of AI than what is typically in the forefront of most people or the average person. When you think about AI, you think about just ChatGPT or maybe some computer-generated images, but this is way more expansive in terms of how AI is actually being utilized. And yet Congress is calling for a pause or shutdown on the development of AI. And I've talked with some of the tech policy people over at Heritage Foundation, some other places that agree with you that that is very dangerous in terms of where the United States is in our policy and being well behind the curve in terms of artificial intelligence. So how should we be thinking about AI from this broader perspective of how it's actually utilized and why it's so important for the United States to stay current?
I mean, that's perfectly said. Our government has done a terrible job of keeping dangerous weapons out of the hands of criminals, murderers, and terrorists. It's done a terrible job. You know, it's done a good job of keeping tools, technology, and self-defense tools out of the hands of good actors, people like you and me, people who will use AI for good. And what we are seeing here in the halls of Congress, what we're seeing around the world, is a call for basically all the good users, all the people who would use this technology for self-defense, for the type of information gathering and defense systems that we see. All the people who would use AI for good are being told, no, you should pause, you should stop. And we know that bans on tools will never stop the bad actors. It will never stop the criminals. It will never stop the terrorists. So what we are doing is we are going to hamstring all of the Western powers from having this next tool in the war on terrorism, the war on criminals. We are going to take that tool away from us and let only our foreign adversaries use it. That's essentially what is being talked about here in Congress. It's being, quite simply, hey, stop using AI because it might be used for bad. But we know from over 200 years of history that criminals will continue to do bad things and break the laws because that's what makes them criminals. Now, let's take a look at how this would impact us directly here in the United States. Roll back the clock 20 years to 9/11. We had the information that terrorists would be going to the flight schools, would be getting on airplanes, and had considered attacking New York City. We had that information. We just could not connect the dots. That is what AI can do a great job at today. It can prevent the next 9/11. We can identify people coming across the border, people who have connections to terrorist groups, people who have connections to foreign adversaries. We can identify where they're going, what they're doing, and identify the potential threat vectors that they present and prevent the next 9/11. Israel has a really good AI system to identify the movements of terrorist groups in Gaza, in Lebanon, and other parts of the region, and even it was not good enough. But what we can use AI to do today is to prevent the next terrorist attack and better find the terrorists before they strike. And that's what is going to be kneecapped and taken away from our toolkit at a time when we can least afford it. The world has become an incredibly more dangerous place over the past 3 years. And if America ceases to innovate, we cease to use all the tools at our disposal to stop terrorism around the world, then we're going to be at a disadvantage. And the only people using AI will be the bad actors, and we will be at their mercy.
And I'm speaking with Carl Szabo, who is the Vice President and General Counsel for NetChoice and also Professor of Internet Law at George Mason's University Scalia Law School. And Carl, this reminds me, this argument of saying we need to pause and totally stop AI because it could be used for the wrong purposes. This reminds me exactly of the leftist argument for gun control, when they're saying we need to have, nobody should be keeping and bearing arms because guns may fall into the hands of the wrong people and criminals. Well, that's going to happen anyway. And when you don't allow law-abiding citizens to use arms for self-defense, for security, for other purposes, then you're just aggravating the problem. And it sounds like that's exactly what Congress and even some of the Republicans may be playing into with this whole discussion about AI. So what should the United States do to perhaps mirror Israel's policy, and what is Israel's policy on AI, and why are they so much further ahead in their usage than the United States?
Yeah, there's lots to unpack there. So the simple answer to Congress is to recognize that we have thousands of laws today on the books that cover and address AI. Every law that outlaws a criminal activity applies to AI like it would any other tool. And the example I often use is a hammer. Hammer can be used to build a house or break a window, but we don't outlaw hammers. We outlaw destruction of private property. And similarly, if AI is being used for fraud, if it's being used for impersonation, if it's being used for any of the myriad of criminal activities that we already have on the books today, let's bring in action. Let's stop it. And so start by recognizing that AI is subject and covered by thousands of laws today, just like every other tool is. Nonetheless, if there are gaps, let's identify gaps and fill them, not ban the technology. Let's not ban hammers because they could be used to break a window. To your other point of why is Israel so far ahead, it's because Israel faces this level of threat all the time. Israel doesn't have a ban on guns like much of Europe does. In fact, when you go and visit Israel, you will see people in uniform everywhere carrying firearms. It is a nation that has to be available to defend itself and ready to defend itself at a moment's call. And that is what you've seen over the past 2 to 3 weeks with the mobilization of the Israeli Defense Force. So they are living with a constant threat. We are fortunate here in the United States that many of our foreign adversaries are overseas. But nonetheless, the internet allows them to attack us domestically. And that's where AI is going to be the next area where we need to arm ourselves in a defensive posture. AI every day, and for the past 20 years, has been taking down spam emails. AI, for the past 20 years, has been helping us do better searches on the internet. And now we must let our nation continue to lead on AI as we figure out ways to use it to better identify foreign adversaries' threats, stop cyber attacks, and keep us safe, much in the way that Israel has allowed their innovation to develop.
Yeah, and the attack on Israel really should be a wake-up call that we need to further develop artificial intelligence, integrate it into our own defense, as you've been saying, Carl. And, in just the last few minutes I have with you, there have been a lot of concerns about EMPs and a strike that America is very vulnerable to. And how much could AI potentially help that type of defense in terms of specific vulnerabilities?
So EMPs, electromagnetic pulses, I was trying to explain it to somebody the other day, and I asked if they'd seen the movie Ocean's 11, and they use an EMP. EMPs are a micronuclear blast that essentially fry all electronics. It's more than just turning off the lights for a couple of minutes. It's annihilation of every microprocessor, and so it's a real problem. We saw a couple of years ago when New York had the blackout for just 48 hours. Now imagine a blackout that lasts months. Now, how can AI help prevent that type of threat? There are only certain ways to cause an EMP attack. It's essentially, as I described, a micronuclear blast. So you can use AI to identify where are the resources necessary, where are the components necessary to trigger such an explosion, and then see where they're going. This gets back to what I was talking about earlier about connecting the dots. You can sometimes see in a movie where somebody is down in a basement with pictures spread all over the floor and red string connecting one thing to another. Well, imagine perfect memory where you can remember something as simple as a letter you read 30 years ago and connect it to something you just saw 5 seconds ago. That's what AI can do. It can connect those dots. So when it comes to an EMP, it can identify where are the components, where have they been over the past 30 years, who has said anything about it, how do you connect these potential threats to actual resources. And that's how we stop it. That's how we identify it. That's how we keep Americans safe.
Well, Carl, Szabo, really appreciate your time this morning, and I wish that Congress was more focused on this than vacating the chair. But always appreciate your comments and insights. We'll be right back with more here on Jenna Ellis in the Morning.
With inflation, the banking world collapse, and everything that Joe Biden is doing not to protect America, you need to make sure to secure your financial health, especially in retirement. And hey, if you're a millennial like me, that actually is sooner than you think. You need to start now, even if you are a millennial or a Gen Zer, to make sure that your financial health is actually healthy when we get to retirement. And Legacy Precious Metals has a revolutionary new online platform that allows you to invest in gold and silver online in real time. In a few easy steps, you can open an account online, select your metals of choice, and choose to have them stored in a vault or shipped right to your door. You'll have access to a dashboard where you can track your portfolio growth in real time anytime. You'll see transparent pricing on each coin and bar, and this puts you in complete control of your money. The platform is free to sign up for. Visit legacypminvestments.com and open your account and see this new investing platform for yourself. Gold hedges against inflation and against a volatile stock market. A truly diversified portfolio isn't just more stocks and bonds, but different asset classes. This brand new platform allows you to make investments in gold and silver, no matter how small or large, with just a few clicks. Visit legacypm.com to get started. You can download the free investor's guide, and you can also call Legacy PM Investments to talk to a portfolio expert to get expert answers to to customize your personal portfolio. So visit legacypminvestments.com to get started. Tell them that Jenna sent you.
On MyPillow's 20-year anniversary with over 80 million MyPillows sold, Mike Lindell wants to thank each and every one of you by giving you the lowest price in history on his MyPillows. You will receive a queen-size MyPillow for only $19.98. The regular price is $69.98 and just $10 more for a king size. You'll receive deep discounts on all MyPillow products such as bed sheets, mattress toppers, pet beds, mattresses, my slippers, which I love, and so much more. This is the time to try out some of the amazing products you've had your eye on from MyPillow. So go to mypillow.com and enter promo code Jenna to receive this amazing offer on the queen size MyPillow for $19.98. You can go to mypillow.com or call 1-800-564-8475. Be sure to use the promo code Jenna. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. This offer comes with a 10-year warranty and a 60-day money-back guarantee. It's time to start getting the quality sleep you deserve. Go to mypillow.com, use the promo code Jenna.
When the government used emergency edicts during COVID to restrict the gathering and worship of churches, 3 pastors facing the risk of imprisonment, unlimited fines, and their own churches being ripped apart, took a courageous stand and reopened their doors in the face of a world that chose to comply. The Essential Church is a feature-length documentary that explores the struggle between the church and government throughout history. This fascinating story uncovers those who've sacrificed their lives throughout history for what they truly believe in. Rediscover why the church is essential and how we prove that this stand remains true from a scientific, legal, and most importantly, biblical perspective. This is not your typical movie. It'll change your life. You need to see this movie with your friends and family. The Essential Church is streaming today exclusively at salemnow.com. That's Essential Church, streaming at salemnow.com.